Make sure that CCN clip ready. We need it for the second.
4.
Facts from the Clarendon correspondent coming through now.
3.
All the international stories in the folder. Go to
2.
Newsreaders all set.
Yeah, man, everything set, everything ready.
1.
From the grill to Morant Point, NewsTalk 93 FM has got it covered. Across the 7 seas to the 4 corners of the world, it's all captured on the 93 radar. 93.1, 93.3, 93.5, 93.7 and 93.9 on your FM dial. Real News at 5 starts now.
Good afternoon. It is Monday, October 5, with the 5 o'clock newscast here on NewsTalk 93 FM. I'm Andre Bernard. Coming up in this newscast, Managing Director of Flow, Gary Sinclair, says there will be no compensation for cable customers who have lost premium channels. Retired Jamaica Defence Force Army Colonel Alan Douglas says the government approached the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry incorrectly and unfairly. And Jamaicans use social media to voice their discontent with the government for accepting £25 million from the British government for the construction of a prison facility. And now the details. Managing Director of Flow, Gary Sinclair, has made it clear that there will be no rebate for cable customers who have lost premium channels. In June of this year, Flow stripped 13 channels from its lineup in compliance with a directive from the Broadcasting Commission. Speaking via a live video chat this afternoon, Sinclair said he has heard the calls from customers for refunds for the lost channels. However, he says that will not happen. While saying that it was not the fault of the customers, Sinclair says Flow admitted that it was delivering service to customers that it wasn't paying for, but customers have to then appreciate the fact that they were getting content for which they were not paying. During the 1-hour live video chat, Sinclair also fielded questions from upset customers complaining about poor mobile and internet services. He maintained that the substandard internet service was not the result of the recent merger between Lime and Flow, but did not indicate the reason for the problem. Meanwhile, the management of Flow Jamaica Limited and the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union BITU are to meet at the company's head office in Kingston tomorrow in an attempt to stave off a strike threatened by unionized workers over a delay in settling a pay dispute. Following a meeting with the workers on Friday, BITU President Senator Cavan Gale warned publicly of the possibility of a strike by the workers following a breakdown in discussions on the wage issue. However, in a release, Flow Jamaica advised its customers that it was business as usual at the company. Flow has offered to pay the workers a 6.25% wage increase for the first year of a new wage contract, which has been due since April 2014. The company says it will pay the 6.25% on a one-off basis and negotiate a new contract going forward from April 2015. But according to Senator Gale, the one-off payment of 6.25% on current salaries, which was not negotiated with the union, is at the heart of the dispute, as it has already been rejected by the workers. The unionized workers at Flow Jamaica are angry that during the period of negotiating the deal and since the takeover, they have not received a pay increase and have lost some of the allowances they had enjoyed before the change in ownership. Retired Jamaica Defence Force Army Colonel Alan Douglas says the government approached the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry incorrectly and unfairly. He makes this comment in light of what he says is a trial of the security forces versus the people.
The government set about its business incorrectly, I believe. They set out as an adversarial as opposed to inquisitorial. In other words, it's a trial. And what has happened is that we now have it's a legal contest. The security forces versus the Tivoli residents. And to my mind, the casualty there is the whole truth. Because there's so much that obviously the lawyers for the security forces are going to do their job, and they're not going to be providing all that they should be. And also there's going to be protection on the other side.
In defending his point, Douglas refers to the British Army inquiry of what took place in Northern Ireland some years ago and says the Jamaican Commission of Inquiry should do likewise if they want to get to the truth.
And unfortunately, there was a fantastic precedent. The British Army, which the Jamaica Defence Force is modelled on, a long, rich history of connections with the Brits, had their bloody Sunday inquiry, and they went through 2 inquiries to come up with a position on what took place in the British Army in Northern Ireland. And the results are there, and they point to the need not to be involved in trial. If you are going to get to the truth, you really think the commissioners now have to put on their Sherlock Holmes hat and their magnifying glass and search for the evidence, and it is there.
Retired Jamaica Defence Force JDF Army Colonel Alan Douglas. He was speaking on the evening edition with host Garfield Higgins on Friday. Opposition spokesperson on national security Derek Smith says at the rate at which violent crimes are moving, the murder rate will reach 1,200 this year.
What is obvious, and these things you can track them and you can project them, unfortunately, that we're looking at 1,200 murders this year. That's exactly what we are looking at, because historically, the back end of the year running into Christmas is really problematic. You know, if you look back, this is when the trend started last year, September. Unfortunately, with the coming into office of Dr. Williams, that's when it started to slip, and it has been slipping ever.
He says so far the murder rate is 917, even as he compares this year's murder rate with that of last year.
What I have is 917, which is running about 26%, I think, above a corresponding period last year. And that equates to about 180 additional bodies. And that's the latest figures I have. And it continues to hold at 3.2 per day. And this has been so from early in the year.
Meanwhile, Smith says Jamaica's crime-solving efforts are not impressive under Police Commissioner Dr. Carl Williams.
I don't like to make comparisons with individuals. Everybody has their own style. I more like to look at the results. Unfortunately, the results have not been numerically, that is, good since Dr. Williams has come to office. Let me just say that in itself is not saying that Dr. Williams is not trying his best. It is just saying that we have not been getting what would have been hoping for with a new commissioner coming to office.
Smith also adds that policing is a difficult job, and whenever there is a change of commissioner, there seems to be an increase in murder. He says it takes some time for people to fit into their new roles.
It's a very difficult job, and history has shown us that many times when you make the change, that there's an escalation of murder thing, because it's not everybody that comes to the wicket or give their maximum at first blush. Some people like to see how you behave or you fit in, what moves you make before they put their hands to the wheel. Full stop.
Opposition spokesperson on national security Derek Smith. He was speaking on the evening edition with host Garfield Higgins on Friday. You're listening to news here on NewsTalk 93 FM. It is now 9 minutes after 5 o'clock. A group of Jamaicans are again using social media as an instrument to voice their discontent with the current government as they plan a protest for tomorrow outside Gordon House, pending approval from the Office of the Commissioner of Police. The protest is purposed to show disapproval towards the acceptance of the £25 million prison gift from British Prime Minister David Cameron, which he announced during his visit to the island last week. An online petition has also been created entitled Say No to Jamaican Prison for UK Deportees, which has so far attracted 82 signatures. The protest and petition, according to one of the organizers, is neither partisan nor political, but Jamaican. The organizer says he's calling on all Jamaicans who are able to participate to do so for the benefit of the country. The Public Order Act of Jamaica prevents any protest from occurring within a 200-yard radius from any point within the property of Gordon House. The penalty for any breach could see organizers facing 3 months imprisonment, a fine of $50 or both. Participants in the protest likewise face up to 2 months imprisonment and a fine of $10 if they fail to comply. A fourth-form male student from the Morant Bay High School in St. Thomas is now in hospital following a fire which destroyed his home in York this morning. Police reports are that about 4:30 a.m., residents saw fire coming from the building and alerted the fire department. One unit from the Morant Bay Fire Department responded. Residents of the York community said that the fire was allegedly started by a man who resides at the house following an argument with his wife. The man, who is being sought by the police, has since fled the area. Police say damage to this 7-apartment house is valued at $8 million. President of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees UCASE, Vincent Morrison, has hailed the late Clive Dobson as one of the most outstanding trade union leaders over the past 35 years. While expressing regret in a statement a short while ago, Morrison described Dobson as a giant of a man whose work on behalf of the employees of Jamaica Public Service Company was outstanding. Morrison says as Jamaica salutes and thanks Dobson for his wonderful contribution to the trade union movements, UCASE extends its deepest condolences to his family. The government has received approximately $810.2 million in World Bank grant funding to improve climate and weather data collection and information management within ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs. The undertaking is part of a package of projects valued at approximately $3.57 billion or $30 million, which is being financed in Jamaica under the pilot program for climate resilience. The $1.2 billion pilot program for climate resilience, PPCR, is a funding window of the $8.1 billion climate investment funds, which assists developing countries to integrate climate resilience into development planning. Finance and Planning Minister Dr. Peter Phillips, in welcoming the World Bank support, underscored the need to generate data that will adequately assist the country's preparation to deal with climate change. He was addressing the signing ceremony held on Friday at his ministry's National Hero Circle offices in Kingston. Former Jamaica Labour Party JLP leader and Prime Minister Bruce Golding says members of the JLP must unite if the party intends to form the next government. According to Golding, a small section of the JLP cannot win an election. He says although the party leader, Andrew Holness, has the responsibility to lead, he cannot achieve unity alone. He's urging members with grouses to make an effort to resolve their differences. The former Prime Minister says the JLP must learn from the experience, noting that a divisive party has never been able to win an election. Golding says he was only able to lead the JLP to victory in 2007 by making unity a priority for the party. He was speaking at an awards banquet on the weekend for party workers in southwest St. Elizabeth. Despite his defeat, Member of Parliament Damien Crawford reassures his supporters that no matter what happens, he will remain a member of the People's National Party.
I knew what I was risking when I did what I did. I risked my career for children I don't even know their name. I spent $600,000 to... I knew what I was risking when I did what I did. I risked my career for children I don't even know their name. I spent $600,000 to do diagnostic tests for learning deficiency. I could have easily do it for fertilizer. So if you risk and don't get the return, accept the risk. We have to accept the risk. Hold on. I was a PNP. I was a PNP before I was a candidate. I will remain a PNP even if I have... Early indications suggest that we will be taking it, and I'm therefore very confident. But you never know until the votes are counted. So persons would always say that they're supporting or not supporting. The truth is what the paper says. So we are very confident at this particular time based on our tallies. However, we're waiting on the chickens to hatch before we count them.
Defeated Member of Parliament for East Rural St. Andrew, Damien Crawford. Meanwhile, supporters of businessman Peter Blake have welcomed him as someone who represents their interests.
And try remember, Mr. Crawford come and say we don't know, not really go sign up, because when we guard the polling station, it was who Damian Crawford and a paper. So if somebody come and say we don't, that is very unfair to us. We don't take that light. So we are saying that it don't really matter what happened here today, is just that. We don't see Mr. Crawford as somebody who is best with our business and how we try to develop our division.
They also share their views on the election.
Somebody who can carry on our business. It's all about our business. It's not about what the party think or whosoever. It's all about what the people them in the division think. And we thinking about our business, how we structure our business, and a person who can build a bridge. A person who can go into the parliament or wherever and lobby for what we want, not what them want. Because normally what them always want is not the best to the people them in the division. We know what is best. We may not know everything that is best, but most of the time we know all that is.
Supporters of businessman Peter Blake Crawford was yesterday defeated by businessman Peter Blake in his bid to represent the People's National Party in the St Andrew East rural constituency in the next general election. Crawford received 166 votes to Blake's 217 at the candidate selection exercise on the compound of the PNP's Old Hope Road headquarters in St Andrew. State Minister in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Luther Buchanan, is calling on poultry producers in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean to work together to ensure that the region's food security is protected. Addressing the Caribbean Poultry Association Technical Symposium this morning, Buchanan said poultry production plays a very significant role in the promotion of food security not only in Jamaica, but also in the wider region.
The CPA production data indicates some 46,977 metric tons of broiler meat was produced by Caribbean states, with the exception of Haiti in 2012 as compared to 174,945 in 2001, with Jamaica being the main producer, accounting for 101,382 tons, which represents a mere 41% of the total output.
The state minister says while significant strides have been made in increasing production of poultry products, there is a long way to go before self-sufficiency is attained. And in news from the region, having failed in their campaign to stop the former People's Partnership government from extending the Solomon Highway Extension project of Trinidad into a close-by lagoon, the Highway Reroute Movement, HRM, of the Twin Island Republic is now seeking foreign help. In a media conference in Trinidad yesterday, HRM leader Dr. Wayne Kobler-Singh said they will now approach the Ramsar Secretariat in Switzerland to get the lagoon declared as an environmentally sensitive area under the Ramsar Convention. In explaining how this would help Trinidad, Kobler-Singh said if the lagoon is adopted as a Ramsar site, anyone seeking to carry out developmental works there will have to show how it would benefit the environment using proper scientific methods. And that's local and regional news. Let's join the BBC News for international news.
BBC News with Tom Sanders. The Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is to meet European Union leaders in Brussels today for talks about the refugee crisis. Turkey is one of the main transit routes for thousands of people trying to make their way to the EU from Syria. EU leaders hope to reach a deal ensuring more migrants remain in Turkey. They're also keen to agree on joint patrols along the Turkish coastline. Islamic State militants in Syria are reported to have blown up another 2,000-year-old monument in the ancient city of Palmyra. The huge Arch of Triumph has stood since the 2nd century AD, and it's thought to have been built to celebrate a Roman victory. Hopes are fading in Guatemala of finding any survivors of a landslide on the outskirts of the capital that's now killed at least 131 people and left many missing. No one has been found alive over the weekend. The authorities in the US state of South Carolina have described heavy rain and flash flooding as a 1-in-1,000-year event. In the historic city of Charleston, more than 35 centimetres of rain fell in 3 days. Portugal's Prime Minister has said he's ready to form a new government after his right-of-centre coalition won the country's general election. The coalition beat the opposition Socialist Party, but appears to have fallen short of a majority in Parliament. Scientists say they found a new species that sheds light on the rapid evolution of mammals after the extinction of the dinosaurs. The creature lived about 65 million years ago and looked similar to a beaver. BBC News.
Broadcast Jamaican and NewsTalk 93 FM now gear the news in the Jamaican language.
Good evening. My name is Kadeen Marshall and this are the news in the Jamaican language. One fourth farm student who go to Morant Bay High School in a hospital now after fire burned down him house this morning. According to the police report, around 4:30 in the morning, some people say fire come from the house and call the fire brigade. Some firemen from the Morant Bay come and they not try out the fire. Some people from the York community tell the Power 106 News Centre say one man was living at the house with his wife start the fire after them done cuss. Police are look for the man cause him run gone. The police of the 7 apartment house cost $8 million. One time, Jamaica Labour Party JLP leader and Prime Minister Bruce Golding said the member them in the JLP have to come together if they want to form the next government. According to Golding, one little part of the JLP can't win one election, and although a party leader Andrew Holness' responsibility for lead the party, him alone can't make the party come together. Him say everybody must come together for work out them problem. Him said the JLP may win the election in 2007 cause everybody may work together. Golding been attack one banquet over the weekend for people who work for the party in Southwest St. Elizabeth. The government get US $6.8 million from the World Bank for fix up climate and weather data, information management in the Ministry Department and agency them MDA. Them do this under the pilot program for climate resilience, PPCR, will help country plan how to deal with climate change. According to Dr. Peter Phillips, what the World Bank do, I got help out the country in a one good way. In being a talk last Friday at our meeting, we're being keeping our ministry. News from the rest of the Caribbean. The government for Haiti signed an agreement with people from foreign to build up some forests in the country. Right now, Haiti only have 2% of forests in the country. According to Leonard Renaud, who are the Defense and Foreign Affairs Minister, the Ministry for Environment are going to work with people from foreign for one project to build some more forests all over the country. They are going to call it Haiti Tech Route, and they are going to use it as part of the Convention for the United Nations Climate Change 2015, where fight against people will cut down the forest them all over the world. News from foreign. One reporter come out of Germany said this year alone, 1.5 million people want to come in Germany for stay. According to the German media, this almost double the amount of people them being think want to come in the country. On top of that, the report said the camp and the people them who work there can't go manage so much people. Earlier in the year, the German government said them expect around 800,000 to 1 million people for coming in the country. My name is Kadeen Marshall, and that are the news in the Jamaican language.
Broadcast Jamaican and NewsTalk 93 FM just gear the news in the Jamaican language.
The 5 o'clock Sports Roundup is brought to you by NewsTalk 93 FM, life-changing radio.
Good afternoon. With your 5 o'clock sports roundup here on NewsTalk 93 FM, I am Mikhail Drummer-Johns, and we begin with football. Clancarthy High has withdrawn from the Issa Mining Cup competition. The school has cited disciplinary problems on the part of their players. With their withdrawal, all previous affiliated results are now null and void. Meanwhile, today's top-of-the-tables clash in Group D, which should have seen Charlie Smith face Holy Trinity, was postponed until Wednesday. And yesterday's opening day of the Sherwin-Williams Women's League saw Arnett Gardens FC earning the day's biggest win after handing Rangers FC a massive thrashing of 24-0. Chantel Bailey led the scores with a double hat-trick +1, followed by Chanel Spence with a hat-trick +1, while Ashina Nelson and Kaden Edwards earned hat-tricks. There were 5 other goal scorers, with 2 earning braces. And the day's next best was Olympic Gardens FC, who walked away with their clean sheet and 10 goals versus Boystown FC, followed by a 9-0 beating of St. James WAFC by Waterhouse FC. In other games, defending champions Barbican FC clipped GC Foster College FC 1-0, and Trelawney Women's FC earned a consolation versus Los Perfectos FC, who netted 7. Further afield, talks between Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp's representatives have progressed well as the club looked to replace manager Brendan Rodgers. The former Borussia Dortmund coach is favoured to take over from the Northern Irishman, with ex-Chelsea boss Carlo Ancelotti a strong contender. Meanwhile, Sunderland are considering Real Sociedad manager David Moyes as they look for Dick Advocat's successor. Advocat quit yesterday. Meanwhile, it is believed Moyes is not the top runner, with the available Sam Allardyce and Nigel Pearson and Burnley manager Sean Dyche ahead. Yet to win a game this season, the club hopes to have a manager before their fixture at West Bromwich on October 17. Still on football, Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho has been charged with misconduct by the Football Association FA. This comes after remarks made by him about match officials following his side's 3-1 home loss to Southampton on Saturday. The FA alleges his comments imply bias on the part of a match official. Mourinho felt referee Robert Madley denied Chelsea a penalty on Saturday, adding officials were afraid to award his side spot kicks. Moving on to cricket, former West Indies Cricket Board WRCB director Jackie Hendricks believes the regional governing body was wrong in its decision to suspend West Indies head coach Phil Simmons for recent comments he made regarding team selection. Hendricks is of the opinion that what should have been done instead was for Simmons to be reprimanded with a warning. Bangladesh cricketer Shahadat Hussain has turned himself in to face charges of torturing an 11-year-old housemaid. The fast bowler had been missing since September 6 when allegations were first made about him and his wife. The court has rejected the bail petition submitted by Hussain and has sent him to jail. And in results in games today, playing the third one-day international ODI, Pakistan today defeated Zimbabwe by 7 wickets with 96 balls remaining. Zimbabwe had been restricted to 161 in 38.5 overs before Pakistan made their 162-run target in 34 overs, losing 3 wickets. Meanwhile, South Africa sealed a series win versus India following crowd interruption. The two were contesting their second 2020 international and saw the Proteas win by 6 wickets with 17 balls remaining. India had made a paltry 92 runs in 17.2 overs, after which South Africa made 96 for 4 in 17.1 overs. And finally in tennis, Czech Thomas Berdych today earned himself the Shenzhen Open title after the first seed earned a straight sets win over Guillermo Garcia Lopez, the final scores being 6-3, 7-6. And that's it for the 5 o'clock sports roundup here on NewsTalk 93 FM. I am Michaela Drummer John saying stay tuned for the business news and weather report.
The 5 o'clock sports roundup was brought to you by NewsTalk 93 FM, life-changing sports radio.
At 29 minutes after 5, we take a look at business news. On the local stock market, the index advanced by 1,796.05 points to close at 98,415.80. The junior market index advanced by 6.65 points to close at 1,024.03. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 25 stocks, of which 15 advanced, 9 declined, and 1 traded firm. Market volume amounted to over 1 million units, valued at over $7 million. Lime was the volume leader. Stocks advancing: Access Financial Services, Carib Cement, Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Caribbean Producers Jamaica, Carreras, Consolidated Bakeries Jamaica, D&G, General Accident Insurance, Jamaican Teas, Lasco Distributors, NCB, Pan Jamaican Investment Trust, Proven Investments, Sagicor Group Jamaica, and Scotia Group Jamaica. Stocks declining: Berger Paints, Gleaner, Broilers, Jamaica Producers Group, Jamaica Stock Exchange, KLE Group Limited, Lasco Financial Services Limited, Lime, and Mayberry Investments. And on the foreign exchange market, the US dollar closed at $19.24, the pound at $182, the Canadian at $91.40, and the euro at $135.30. And that's business news. And now we take a look at the weather. There is a trough induced by Hurricane Joaquin over the Central Caribbean and Jamaica. The trough is expected to remain across the Central Caribbean for the next 3 days. In the forecast for tonight, expect isolated showers over northeastern parishes, and it will be partly cloudy elsewhere. And now to end this newscast, the main points. Managing Director of Flow, Gary Sinclair, says there will be no compensation for cable customers who have lost premium channels. Retired Jamaica Defence Force Army Colonel Alan Douglas says the government approached the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry incorrectly and unfairly. And Jamaicans use social media to voice their discontent with the government for accepting £25 million from the British government for the construction of a prison facility. And that's the 5 o'clock news, sports and weather package here on NewsTalk 93 FM. I'm Andre Bernard.